Hello, everybody. Cousin Vinny Agnello, critically acclaimed author of the Christian classic, The Devil's Glove. We are making really good progress here at Bedtime with Cousin Vinny as we are reading about 180 pages of the classic Christian novel, The Devil's Glove. And we're making a lot of progress. We left off last night at page 38. So let's get on. At the end of this, you'll get a chance to purchase The Devil's Glove. That's after I tease the hell out of you. And believe me, that's my intention. All right, here we go. Page 38. Michael, there's rumors going around the clubhouse that I might be brought up to the show soon. That's Billy's talking, okay? I certainly could understand that. You're hitting the damn tar out of the ball, kid. And your throwing accuracy is uncanny. What's got into you lately? I don't know. My fielding just improved. I'm finally staying down on the ball, and my throws, like you said, couldn't be any more accurate. It's like my vision has totally improved. I swear I can read the laces on the grounders hit to me lately. It's pretty slick being Superman. You know what I mean? I just love it. I'm finally on a hot streak. I hope this never ends. I'm really having fun with this, Michael. Billy gloated. I'm sure you are. Come on, Billy. Level with me. What are you doing differently? Nothing in particular. Nothing in particular, huh? I don't know about that. You raised your batting average over 100 points in the last month and a half, and at last you're fielding like a gold glover. You must be doing something differently. Let's just say my overall outlook has improved a lot. It's no secret that I was mighty depressed in the beginning of the season. You know, I was really worried that I was going to be eating crow for the rest of my life. All that showy crap I'd been pulling over the last 6 years just to get stuck down here was getting to be a little too disheartening even for me to take. I was starting to feel like a dud firecracker. All fizzle and no pop. To be honest, I was losing hope. You know, if you don't start showing some improvement, they start to hint to you that maybe you just don't got what it takes. And hell, I'm 32 years old this year. You don't have to remind me about that. Well, anyway, I was real down. I mean, I'd worked my whole life to get someplace, and it didn't look like it was going to happen for me. I was ready to quit, Mike. I was thinking about different places in the world that I could maybe hide so I could feel comfortable looking people in the eye again. I had drawn so much attention to myself, and I just couldn't live up to the image I created. I felt helpless. To be honest with you, I was thinking I was having a nervous breakdown. I was crying myself to sleep every night, just praying that somehow this miracle that I've been living lately would occur. I mean, I was getting desperate. I started telling myself that I'd give anything, and I do mean anything, in order to improve enough to get me to the next level, you know, to the show. Well, anyway, one night I have this weird dream. It was the strangest dream I've ever had in my entire life. From the look on your face, I can tell that this whole thing sounds pretty silly to you. No, I'm not making fun of you, so go on. So you had a dream that you were going to become this fantastic ball player who could live up to the image of your fancy glove and shoes, huh? Well, not exactly. Like I said, it was weird. I found myself at this deserted Major League ballpark, and I was at the plate, ready to bat, but there was no pitcher on the mound. Like I said, it was strange. Anyway, to make it even weirder, you won't believe who I saw. Who'd you see, Billy? I saw the Babe and Garrick. That was a blast from the past, huh? That's some weird dream, but it gets better. They both tell me to stop groveling. So I tell them how badly I want to move up to the majors. And then the Babe tells me that if I truly wanted to know whether I could make it or not, he could arrange a test for me. Isn't that crazy? Sure is. I wish I had dreams like that. I've always had dreams of the stupid variety, pigs flying and stuff like that. So what'd you find out, kid? Well, you know me. My curiosity always gets the best of me. And I was dying to find out what he proposed. So I told him to arrange it. And when I look back at the pitcher's mound, you'll never believe who I saw there. Who? Michael? I swear to God it was the big train. Walter Johnson, in the flesh, staring me down. I looked over at Gehrig and he told me that if I could get a hit off of old Barney, then I could without a doubt make it to the major leagues. So I went up to bat, and that son of a bitch struck me out in 3 pitches. Worse than that, I could hardly even see the damn ball. It was going so fast. When the 3rd pitch went by, I remember thinking, what a depressing dream this one turned out to be. I remember saying to Ruth, so that's it? And he casually replied back that I'd gotten my answer. But then I turned back to face the pitcher's mound again, to get another look at old Barney. Just to find out that he wasn't there any longer. I was kind of hoping for another chance. Next thing I know, there's this really distinguished looking man in a dark suit on the mound. He tells me that my heroes just made a fool out of me and that he would give me a 4th strike to truly find out whether or not I could hit good enough to make it in the major leagues. Since, like I told you, I really wanted another turn at bat, I took him up on it. He told me that if I could get a hit off of him, that indubitably, that was his exact word, I was major league material. Let me tell you, he was talking my language. So I readied myself in the batter's box, and you never believe it. The fool hangs a curveball waist high over the center of the plate. Needless to say, I smacked that sucker right out of the ballpark. And the weird thing is that while I was admiring my home run, the stadium suddenly became filled to the gills with people, and they were all screaming my name. It was the best dream I ever had. So what do you think of that? That's some dream. So you're telling me that ever since you had that dream, that you've been on a tear? Yeah, basically. That's pretty unbelievable. So with all this great stuff happening to you, why then am I hearing all these horror stories about you being so unsportsmanlike with your teammates? I would think that you'd want them to share in your good fortune. Well, of course I'd like to be popular with them, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made. What are you talking about, Billy? Well, I know it's wrong, Michael, but I've been kind of wishing bad luck upon all of them lately, Billy whispered. Well, that's awfully mean. Why are you doing that? I don't get it. So you're openly praying that they play badly? Why? So you'll look better than them? And then you make sure they all know about it? What are you thinking about? No wonder they hate you. These are your teammates, Billy. They're your friends. You're supposed to be wishing them well. What in hell is getting into you? And you think that this is somehow improving your play? Michael asked, completely baffled. Look, I don't need a lecture from you about sportsmanship, Billy snapped. He added, I have my reasons. It's got something to do with karma. You got to understand something about us ball players. We're superstitious. When we're in a groove, we don't change things. I made a deal and I'm not going back on it. What do you mean you made a deal? That's all I got to say, so drop it. I hear enough of that shit from them. I don't need to hear it from you too, Billy scolded. The old man snapped out of his daydream and pondered the same question in his mind repeatedly. Made a deal with whom? He then stared into that half-dug grave and decided it was time to resume his digging. The grave was actually starting to look like one, except for the fact that it needed to be dug a lot deeper. Michael looked down at his hands, which were by now very sore. He realized that he was starting to blister badly from all the shoveling he was doing. He also realized that in his situation, he could not take pain into account. He had to continue digging regardless of the discomfort. He relied on his faith in Jesus Christ to continue this ordeal. He figured that if Jesus could suffer through crucifixion, then he could suffer through the blisters on his hands. These thoughts of Jesus also gave him a greater awareness as to what might have actually occurred to Billy. He recalled a story that he'd heard years before at his church about a lonely old man who had offered anything in order to have his dead wife returned to him. The pastor told the congregation that the old man had gotten his wish from Satan himself, and that the old man's body was found dead in his bed next to the skeletal remains of his wife. The pastor's message was simple that day. Be careful of what you ask for, because you just might get it. The pastor declared that when you offer too much for something, you invite unwanted associations into your life. Could Billy have invited the devil to intervene into his situation? Could that have been the deal he was talking about? These unanswered questions were giving him fits as he dug on. If the picture dressed in black in Billy's dream had been the devil in disguise, then Ruth and Garrett must have been heavenly helpers, he reasoned. This train of thought was starting to make sense to him. He rationalized that after observing the attempt to defile one of his children, God would have sent help to counteract any satanic influences. Unfortunately for Billy, he must have leaned toward the evil side instead of the good. That would explain why he was so mean-spirited during his last year at Memphis. What didn't make any sense is if he had really sold his soul to the devil, then why did he fail so miserably when he got called up to the White Sox? This was the piece of the puzzle that didn't fit as far as Michael was concerned. He asked himself what variable in the equation had changed since the boy had made it to the majors. He repeatedly pondered that thought throughout his labor, and then the answer dawned upon him. He recalled the discussion he had with Billy at Comiskey the day he arrived from Memphis. Never had he seen Billy in better spirits than upon his arrival. The two had to put the celebration on hold, though, because the White Sox were in the middle of a homestand with the Indians. After the game, in which the White Sox defeated the Indians, Billy and he went out for a late-night snack. They stopped at a diner and got a couple of burgers to go. The night was beautiful, and the two men devoured their burgers while taking a long walk around the city. Michael recalled in detail the conversation that took place that night. You know, it's almost like a dream. Just being here is pretty amazing to me. Do you realize how rare it is for a ball player to skip over AAA and go to the majors? Billy asked, as he reflected upon his unique situation. They had to do it, Billy. They had to strike while the iron was hot. If you were going to the majors, it had to be now. They didn't have time to do things orthodox with you anymore because it was getting too late in the game for you. I hate to emphasize the obvious, but you're awfully old to be making your major league debut. I wish you could have solved these problems years ago, but you know what they say about wishing, don't you? Wish in one hand and shit in the other. Well, anyway, enjoy it while it lasts. I guess all that matters is that you're here now, my boy. And by the way, you earned it. You worked hard and you stuck with it, and you deserve to be here, Michael rationally explained. He didn't realize the pernicious effect those words had on Billy. Michael had brought to vivid realization all the dread and fear that the boy had tried so hard to camouflage. It's just hard for me to believe sometimes. Last year I would have never believed that any of this was possible. I guess it just goes to show that dreams really do come true, Billy said, trying his best to bandage the wound that Michael exposed.